What's up, everybody? This is Rob of Archangel Inc., www.archangelinc.com. And in this video, I want to answer the question, how many links should I include in my book? Now, this question came up because we have authors sometimes who come to us and say, hey, I have some outside resources and some places, that websites and that kind of thing that I want to direct people toward. How do I integrate that into my book in a way that is going to be effective and make sense? And it's a good question because you do have the opportunity when you have a digital book, an ebook or a digital PDF or something like that, to have an interactive set of links directing people over to products or services or websites or blog entries or that kind of thing that can provide additional context and useful information and follow-up leads and all of that. So it's not necessarily bad to include some of that. However, I think it definitely can be overdone. And the main point of a book, at least as I see it and as I conceive of it, is to create a sort of comprehensive and constructive, unified experience for the reader. You don't want the reader having to go and chase dozens or even in some cases hundreds of links to get the context they need to understand what you're trying to communicate with your book. I would encourage you to instead just use footnotes or reference guides if there are really important things that you want to direct them over toward. I mean, that's historically what's been done. If you are putting together some material, you have a works cited page and you direct people over to your bibliography where you have gotten the information that you want. People can go and follow up and read all of the different material that's out there for the additional content and additional context that you've utilized. But your job is to summarize it, is to make use of it within the context of your story, of your narrative, and consolidate it so that they can read your book and have what they need from it and not feel like they now have a homework assignment just to understand what it was that you wanted to say and communicate to them. Because you don't want to be in a situation where the reader feels as if, hey, you don't value my time. You're telling me I have to go and chase down these couple hundred links in order to understand what you're saying. Why didn't you just summarize it? Why didn't you provide the context and information that I needed to get your material from you? Because I've paid you to do this. That's your job as an author, to create this unified reading experience. And you don't want readers having that sort of bad, stressful, anxious experience when they're reading your book. Now, you can utilize some links. Obviously, it is helpful for the aforementioned reasons. And also, if you're trying to build a followership, then it's a good idea to have at least your own website and an email list and that kind of thing where people can connect with you and learn to follow you and all of that. But you don't necessarily want to create a book full of links in the same way that you would create a blog post full of links. Because you don't want to send people away from your book. And if you're directing people over to your website and they're going from one page to another on your website, it's all gravy. It's all good and not a problem. And in fact, having more context or more pages for them to follow, it gives them a chance to connect with you across many different topics and increases your search engine indexing and keeps them on your site for longer, and all of those are good from a web context. But in the context of a book, especially a digital book, you don't necessarily want to do that and direct them over from it. The other practical consideration is if you have an audio edition or a print edition, then you don't have interactive hyperlinks, so they're not going to be able to follow up on what you're doing. So you have to conceptualize your book so that it works across all the formats that you are working on. You don't necessarily want to send them over to some web resource when they're reading your print edition or when they're listening to your audio edition. Summarize it, put it in the body of the text, make it make sense and flow, and then if necessary, add some footnotes, add some references that they can follow up with if they want, but make it so that it's definitely not requisite and that they have a good, positive reading or listening or digital reading experience. And not one that has them going off on a wild goose chase. That's my thought, but let me know what you think. Do you like hyperlinks in your books, in your digital books? Do you like having lots of resources to follow up on? Do you find it distracting? Do you find it difficult to follow? I would love to hear your thoughts and your experience, so please let me know if you're an author or if you're a reader. Love to know what you think and what your preference is when it comes to how many links you should have in a book. Please feel free to leave those in the comments down below. and leave any other questions or comments that you have. I will do my best to answer them. This is Rob Archangel of archangelinc.com, and I will see you folks next time.